Good morning. Welcome to the final 2015 Eagle Football Press Conference. It's been an exciting year for us, full of a lot of accomplishments. We came up a little short at the end, but everybody's season, except for one team, ends with a loss in high school football. We're proud of our kids. We think that they overachieved throughout the year. Not as much was expected from them this year as they gave, and we're proud of the effort they had. Some accomplishments that we have. First off, our schedule. Something that few people know is that we're the only team in the state of Missouri that played against 5 teams with 1 loss or fewer during the season. We're also the only team in the state of Missouri that handed 2 teams their only losses this season. And so those are 2 big things for us. When you look at a football season, our regular seasons are 9 games long. We played an 11-game season, and in those 11 games, nearly 50% of them were against teams with 1 loss or fewer. It's highly likely, highly possible that 3 of the teams that we played will be playing in the state championship this year, and it's also possible that 2 of the teams we beat will be playing in the state championship this year. So our kids have a lot to be proud of. They worked for every inch of it, and they battled, and they were great competitors. I'd like to take your questions.
How have you seen the boys progress throughout the year since they started?
Well, how they progressed throughout the year, if we just go back to week 1 against Raytown High School, who I think finished the season with 3 wins, we beat them 14-9, and we barely hung on for the victory. We only scored 1 offensive touchdown in that game against Raytown, who they coached their kids too, and they had some good athletes, but big picture, it was one of the less competitive teams on our schedule, and we were lucky to win the game. Then week 2, we came out and had our worst performance of the year against a good Blue Springs South team, and we lost 38-6. So if you look at the way the year started, it could have been a dark year for us, because after that Blue Springs South game, you look up and you see that you still have Staley and Kearney and Fort Osage coming down the road. And so the thing that I'm most impressed about our kids on is that despite that slow start, their heads didn't get down, and they just continued to plug away. And I think that we genuinely won football games just based on some mental and physical toughness from our kids, and they turned things around and created one of our best football teams, and probably our most accomplished in terms of regular season wins that we've had here. And we're proud as a coaching staff, because every year that we've been here in the 6 years, we've been better than the year before. Every year has been an improvement over the year before, and this year was no exception, and we look forward to continuing to improve in the next few years.
What happened this year that you'd like to improve for next year?
What happened this year we'd like to improve for next year? We didn't make our decisions early enough in terms of what our starting lineup looked like and what position kids were playing. A lot of that is just from the desire to make sure that we get it right, and a lot of it is also from the desire to make sure that every kid has an opportunity to prove themselves. And we started out in the first game, we played 9 different offensive linemen. We played 5 different running backs. We played a couple of different fullbacks. We didn't have our lineup set, and I think because of that, I think we underestimated the effect that might have on the success of our football team at that time. And once we got a lineup straightened out and went with it, then things did get better. So as a coaching staff, we need to improve on getting our team ready to play that first game better than we did this year.
How has this year improved from last year?
The improvement this year from last year, we've in football circles, there are a few teams in the city who are the teams, and in the last 2 years we've played 5 of those teams. We've played Fort Osage, who went 3 years in a row undefeated regular seasons, and we beat them this year at their field, which was a huge accomplishment. We finally, after 3 years of outplaying Kearney and then blowing it at the end, we finally got that win over Kearney out there. So those 2 wins are big accomplishments for our kids. If you look at Fort Osage, they were ranked number 1 in the state. They've been undefeated 3 years in a row. We're their only regular season loss in the last 3 years. They always win at home. They never lose home games. They've got a nice little atmosphere there, and our kids went out there and beat them. So really, if you look at our program in the last 2 years, we have wins over Blue Springs South, who's an elite team in the city, Fort Osage, an elite team in the city, Kearney, an elite team, and Staley, an elite team. So we've had some highly accomplished wins that, if you compare our schedule to, say, a baseball schedule or a basketball schedule where the teams get to play 30 games, our schedule would be like the baseball team playing the number 1 team in the state 15 times that season, and so we're very proud of our accomplishment. We know that our schedule worked out tough for us, that our strength of schedule in Max Preps puts us at by far the hardest schedule in Class 5 over the last 2 years, and our kids, they can handle the grind of good team after good team after good team, and they proved it.
What was your favorite game to play this year and why?
Favorite game this year, I think that probably the Fort Osage game. I think that was a game. The Kearney game was exciting for us, but we felt like we've been better than Kearney the last 3 years, and we've just had crazy things happen at the end of games against them that have allowed them to steal the game, and it was exciting this year to be up 1 score on them, and then they've got the ball in the 4th quarter, and they've got 99 yards to go, and all you can think is what's happened the last 3 years against them. And then Mitchell Miller jumped in front of that pass and returned it for a touchdown to seal the game, and that was huge for us. And then the Fort Osage game was huge. They've got the number 1 player in the state, Kansas State commit at quarterback. They've got some great other football players in there, and we're proud to have beaten Fort Osage mainly because we have so much respect for their coaching staff, and they're always one of the best coach teams in the city every year, year in and year out. And so it was a real point of pride to go out there and battle them to the end. And really, in the end of the Kearney game and the end of the Fort Osage game, what makes us most proud of our kids is that we didn't out-talent them, we didn't out-skill them, we didn't out-coach them. Our kids out-toughed them, and that's a great compliment to our kids.
Did the season overall go as expected?
We didn't know what to think coming into the season. That's a good question. We thought that because we only had 3 returning starters on defense and 3 returners on offense, that means that we had to replace 16 positions on the field. We didn't know what we were going to get. We expected to beat the 5 beatable teams on our schedule, but we had no idea what to expect with the other 5 really tough ones. Getting that win against Kearney was huge for us because we really didn't know the identity of our team yet at that point. But after that win, we saw that our kids are grinders and they're tough kids, and that we could compete with anybody.
How are you preparing your returning players for next season?
Well, we've got to. The good thing is we have a nice core of returning football players. We've got 3 of our 5 offensive line spots are returning. We've got a couple tight ends who played a lot of football for us. Our D-line will return. Really, we need to prepare some linebackers and some safeties, and that's it. I think we'll be outstanding with a young quarterback coming in. You know, we've got John Redmond back who had a breakout year this year. So we've got a great core. Now we've got to find you know, 3 kids who want to step up and be our linebackers, and we've got to find 2 kids who want to step up and be our safeties, and we've got to develop them in the weight room and in the speed and agility and on the mental toughness side of things, because ultimately that's what it comes down to. But we're excited about the off season. We're excited about next season.
All right, you have a lot of seniors leaving this year, and 2 of them are quarterbacks. So you think that role is going to improve next year?
I think that we're very comfortable with the quarterbacks that we have in our program. You know, if you look down the line, you know, not only did our varsity go 8-3, our JV went 7-2 with Taylor Baton at quarterback. Our sophomore team went 4-2-2 against a murderous schedule with Canyon Van Egdom at quarterback, and our freshman team went undefeated this year. So, you know, this has been our most successful year throughout the program, without a doubt. And we know that there are players, and we're gonna let those kids compete at quarterback. But we know that whoever it is, we'll have another good one next year.
Okay, how do you think you'll prepare your team different next year, considering all the seniors are leaving?
Well, you know, the last 3 years, the last 2 years, I would say, we've graduated almost our entire offense and almost our entire defense each of the last 2 years. We replaced them, you know, with other players who do just as well as they do, and we expect to replace these seniors with good football players too. We really, you know, we're in a community that provides us with good athletes and good kids, and I think that the coaching staff coaches them well. We're more excited about next year and the prospects of what we have coming back than we are disappointed about the loss of some really talented seniors. But these seniors, you know, in closing, these seniors, you know, they were sophomores when we were in the state semifinals. They were juniors when we went 8-4 and beat Staley in the playoffs, and now they're and beat Blue Springs South that year. And now they were seniors at 8-3, so they've had great success coming through here, and all these young guys know it's success, and so we're excited about next year. Yes.
With those younger guys in quarterback, how do you think their transition to varsity football will be like?
We'll see. You know, they're good athletes. You know, Taylor Baton in particular is really gifted with his legs, and we like to run the ball. And we got him some varsity experience, and we think that with what we've got around a quarterback in terms of the running game, the offensive line, the tight ends, the running back, we're going to be able to protect a young quarterback and not rely on him to have to do too much next year. Thanks for coming, guys. I'd like to get that question gauge. We can talk afterwards. All right? Thanks for coming, and enjoy the rest of your school year. No one asked me why we didn't kick a field goal.